Okay, so I'm Amber Steadman. I got my real estate license in 2005. I started in the real estate world in 2000. Grew up in Orangeville, went to Bella Vista. Have two kids. I serve on the board of directors for River Oak Center for Children, and that's my charity of choice. I serve on the CAR. I'm a director at large for the California Association of Realtors, and I am the chair of the community outreach program for Sacramento Association of Realtors and serve on the government relations for Sacramento Association of Realtors. So that's my off work time, my volunteer time. And then, yeah, my girls and I, we have a team of real estate. There's four girls, and two of us have been doing it together for 20 years. So, yeah.
Wow. How do you find the time to, I mean, you have two girls too? Two
Uh,
kids?
well, I have two kids, but my kids are 21 and 24.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you? You don't look
44.
very old. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Okay.
just
You're only a
started
few years
young.
older than me. Yeah, you got a head start in front of me, but that's awesome. You
Yeah.
are
I
a
just
busy,
wanted to be
busy
done
lady.
by my 40s so I could, start that next chapter and
No
have money
doubt.
to start
Yeah.
the next chapter.
No doubt. And
Yeah.
you did it right. I did it wrong. I'm still in the thick of it.
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, I got a little 6 month or 8 month old out there. So yeah, you can hear her. She's
Oh, yeah.
almost crawling. She's getting frustrated to the point where it's like, come here, come here. She's like trying to scoot herself, but not quite there. So you can hear her getting upset out there. So that's awesome. Holy smokes. So you went to BV, and yeah, my dad lived right, or still kind of does, but Sunset and Kenneth right there, or
Eh,
Madison and Kenneth. I'm sorry. So right behind that, like 7-Eleven on the other side of the
yeah, my
Madison.
office is, on the opposite side in the Excel Fitness parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice. Very
yeah,
cool. So how
yeah.
close do you live to there?
2 stoplights.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it.
I like
My
my
step
little bubble.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Totally. You don't have to worry about traffic or none of
Right,
that. That's
right.
what's up. My stepmom used to own an environmental laboratory when I was going through high school, and it was like, or no, after high school also. But anyway, I worked for her, and it was like less than a mile down. It was in Madison and Fair Oaks, and so literally it was like point 0.8 miles away. I
Yeah,
was like, this is the best thing ever. But then I didn't really have much, like same with you, much of a bubble. Like it was kind of like a culture shock when like
you
that
left.
ended.
I
Yeah,
know, I
big
know.
time.
I did work downtown for, 2 years. My office was downtown, and man, when that happened, I was like, "Oh my
Oh
gosh."
gosh.
Yeah, I
Going
got
from that,
road
holy
rage.
smokes.
I was like, "Nope,
I
I gotta go back."
No kidding, I would too. I mean, that's like a, black and white right there, like, that's kind of there's no in between on there. That's like the
Right,
worst.
right.
But, man, so now at least you're back into your comfort zone, it sounds like.
That's right, yeah.
Man, I would love to hear some more real quick about your volunteer. You do so much. So I mean, maybe just give us a little bit more on how it all got started or what
Um,
is it that you do with all of them or
in 2012, I was working with an investor, and we were getting a lot of deals from, going to auction and doing that kinda stuff, but we were missing the boat with off-market deals, and the way I could come up in my head with how I was going to get that was to get really heavily involved at the association, so that other agents would grow to know who I was, and they would bring me their off-market deals, and they would bring me any deals that they didn't want, and then if I was writing deals on MLS and stuff like that, they had a face to put with my offer, right? I wasn't just some chick that was sending offers, blind offers for all these investors, right? I needed it to be personal. And so when I started to get involved there, they were like, "Oh, well, people only really like to, work with other people that are heavily involved with the association." And something about Sacramento Association of Realtors is like so unique compared to any other association. And I have friends that are in associations across the United States. And there's some kind of culture within us. And I'm not saying that just because I'm there. I've been a part of
Mhm.
other associations, and they're like a family. It's
Really?
like
That's dope.
if you get involved and you're really putting in the work,
Yeah.
then you will reap the benefits of it. I can call any one of them and say, "Hey, I'm doing this property management thing that I'm not used to," or "Hey, I'm doing this, this, and this. What would you do here?" And they're not my broker. They're not getting paid. They're not. I mean, there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
We're not besties, you know. They're just like,
Sure.
"Oh, this is how I would do it," da, 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 and we just collaborate. And you just don't find that, and especially in our industry, very
Yeah.
often.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it doesn't sound like any bad blood at all. Is it like, you guys, like, highly involved? Like, a lot of your time consists of just being, like, involved with
Uh,
that?
yeah, I would say there's a big
Yeah.
time commitment from it, and, you know, you do you you lose some of your personal time and you lose some of your business time, and you have to be set up in your business and structured to be able to, you know, step away for 2 hours a day or, you know, do different things. I mean, last year with all the political stuff going on, we had, you know, hundreds of events that we had to attend, you know, and it's like divide and conquer is really what you have to do, you know. And I'm lucky that I have a team of girls. So I am allotted the time to be able to go and do these things. These things fuel my heart, right? So, like, if I'm going to work this hard and grind this hard for real estate to make money, money's great, right? I need that to pay our bills and stuff like that. But it doesn't fuel here, right? Like,
Sure,
you
sure.
know, I work with investors, right? You know, I'm not getting the warm and fuzzy, like, "Oh, this is my first home and, you know, you helped me find it," you know, like, I'm getting like, "Why didn't we find
Yeah,
out this roof was
yeah,
broken?" You know, like all that
yeah,
kind of stuff,
yeah.
you know? So when I step into that role, A, I grow as a person, right? B, I grow in my career because I'm learning so much. And the involvement level that I have at the community level is you just can't you can't take that away because of the fact that I have so many contacts now because of the involvement that I have that when I walk into the building department, right? Nothing to do with my job, but I need to pull a
Yeah,
permit, right? These
sure.
people know who I am, you know,
That's dope.
and so it's not that I get special treatment, it's that I get, "Oh, hey, we recognize her. She's not bullshitting us, you know, like we want to work with her, you know?"
Yeah,
And honestly, I think I started doing it so that I could show my kids it's not always about grinding and making money, right? You have to give
that's
back to the community that gives to you. And that's always been my motto. Like, if the real estate community is going to provide for me and my family, then I need to provide for it.
that's so cool. How were you able to do that when they were younger? Like, you were probably a lot more involved in their lives as,
Yeah,
as
I
they were
coach
grade
soccer.
school. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
there it
yeah.
is, there
Yeah,
it
run
is.
the talent show. We were just talking about this. Run the
There
talent
it is.
show. Was on the PTA. I mean, like I did it all. I like didn't sleep a lot.
Doesn't sound like
And
it.
yeah, you just figure it out, you know,
Yeah.
like, I don't think there people are always like, "Well, how do you structure your day?" I have no idea. I really just don't. I
You're
just
not a
wake
like a
up and
time blocker, or you
um,
don't, like, live by your calendar type of thing?
I do have a calendar, and if you asked anybody in my life, they would be like, she has a calendar and she has stuff on it, but she's always late."
Oh, okay, I
Um,
see.
but
But you
I
make
do
it
time
happen.
block. I do time
Oh,
block,
okay, okay.
um but I time block for lead gen. That's pretty much it. I don't time block the rest of my day. I'm pretty
Right.
fluid and I have to be in the type of real estate I do because, you know, when you're scheduling inspections and you're doing those types of things with the county, they're not like, we're going to be there at 9. They're like, we're going to be there between 9 and noon, you know? So,
Yeah,
like, my whole
yeah,
morning has to be like, okay, I can only be 30 minutes from here, you know? So I have to be
sure.
very fluid with my time. Yeah,
That
and
makes
I'm
sense, that
lucky
makes
because you
sense.
know, I don't have a boss that's like, "Hey, it's 8 o'clock. Where are you?" You know? And if I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
have that, and if I did do only traditional real estate, I wouldn't be able to do all the things that I do.
Got it, got it. So, it's evolved over time. I'm sure it's taken a while to get to where you are. I'm sure, because 'cause you've had to go through all those ups and downs and figure out what doesn't work, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, my daughter was 12 when I started getting heavily involved, so, you know, it helps
Okay.
to have, like, a built-in babysitter at times, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm the biggest fan of, like, having a village, you know, and I didn't have a huge family growing up, so it wasn't like I had, like, all these people I could call to help, right? But I have the
Mhm.
raddest friends.
That's so
And, you know, both of my kids played soccer, and I just meshed myself with those soccer moms, right? And I was like,
thing,
"Hey, you think you could pick the kids up after school today?" You know, like, "Hey, I need a
Yeah.
ride." and we would just tag team, it was like all of us parents were all struggling to figure out how we were gonna fit all of our stuff in a schedule, right? And so I feel like I've always had a really great community, and a village to help with raising my kids and help with me being able to be successful in my career. And, I have a pretty supportive team and a really supportive broker. So, like, it's always
Really?
been, who you surround yourself with is how you're going to be able to show up.
I love that. I love that big time, especially when it comes to your kids. Like,
Right.
it takes the village is what I keep hearing. And, I'm still, young and figuring it out, but having that support from, like, my in-laws and my mom was just, I mean, you can't put a price on that. It's just invaluable, and so I could only imagine, like, being able to have those relationships with the friends and moms and all those kind of stuff and just kinda be that just probably makes all the difference. Because I mean, you're only one person, you can only do so much, so to be
Right.
able to still have a career and be able to be involved with their all their activities, it's huge, so that's very cool. So, you mentioned your broker. Who is your broker?
Well, I'm a broker and I also hang my license at REMAX,
Yeah, yeah, which, the Fair Oaks location,
Fair
I
Oaks
take it?
office. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it, that's right, that's right. That's where it was at, I forgot, I thought they were more towards,
You were at Madison and Sunrise
they were okay,
forever, right by Honey Bay
okay,
Tam. And
okay,
then
cool.
we moved to this location.
Very cool. So I haven't been there yet. So I just joined REMAX in July, working with Anthony. So
I love
Anthony's
Anthony.
oh my god,
Are you on his
that's
team?
I am on his team. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I
you are
got
so lucky. He is
so lucky,
so lucky. He is such a great guy and he comes from authenticity.
100%.
Yep.
You nailed that. I
Yep.
mean, it's like every person that I've talked to about him, or, like I just mentioned his name and they're just, he's awesome. He's the most amazing guy. And like, I didn't even know him. Like, I went to high school with his wife and Joy Morrow. And so I'm sure you probably know Joy's
Yeah.
brother, Peter, also. So
Yes.
anyway, I'm the same age as Peter. So that's how I got cooked up with them. And next thing you know, like he decided to go back to his roots, what he enjoyed, and that's being like, part of or a lead of a team. And so he was putting his own team together. And I hear all these guys are just coming back to, because they'd worked with him before. And I was just like, that's a no brainer. Like, I definitely, it's been the best decision ever because he is so genuinely cool and he's always there for you no matter what. Like, if I told him, I was like, I lean on like I need your help. Like, I'm going to need your help a lot. Like, if that's not something, he's like, "No, don't even worry about it." Like, my last listing, he came to me with me to the presentation and nailed it for me because it was like a probate, and I've never done one before, and so, anyway, he's just awesome, and I've just been enjoying it so much, so I'm looking forward to a full year with him and, on the team. He just got
I
a
bet
new, location too.
your business will double.
I That's what I'm hoping. I really
I
hope
think it
because
will.
I'm only part-time, but I'm really full-time because I work for the state and I work from 6 AM to 2 PM, so I have, like, the whole day and weekends and holidays, so basically, yeah, I'm and I've never actually, like, sat down and had, like, a plan or, like, goals or anything like that. Just being able to sit with him, like, I have one-on-ones with him all the time, and he's just like, "What's your goal for the year? What do you wanna do? Let realistically, and if you're gonna do anything, do it consistently." I mean, just, like, the small
Yes.
things that you don't really put out there unless you actually talk to someone, and so just being able to do that has been huge. So,
Yeah.
I'm super grateful. Did you guys work together, or how do you know of Anthony?
We served on, YPN together. Long, long time ago, we were on Young Professionals Network at SAR, and he was the chair. And
Really?
yeah, and so I just joined his committee, and it was just so fun. And then I got to know him, and I've done some deals with him, and my former broker sold his brokerage to Remax, and I ran into him. I was at a different brokerage and I ran into him at the post office, and him and I have always been really, really close. And he was like, your family misses you. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to go back to Remax,
Right.
because I had been there before. And he was like, I just want you to go sit down and talk to Anthony. And I was like, I don't know. Even him couldn't convince me. Right. And then, like, I was in the meeting for like an hour and I was like, "How did you just sell me? I'm a salesperson." But he didn't. That's the cool part about it is he didn't sell me, right? He wasn't like, "Oh, REMAX offers all this stuff, blah blah blah. I'm gonna blow all this smoke," right? He was just like came from the heart and
Right.
he was like, "Look, he's like, this is what we offered, kind of like take it or leave it. We all offer kind of similar things, right? But like
Sure, sure.
this is what we're gonna give you, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
And there's something to be said about working in a culture where you feel like it's family.
Oh my gosh, 100%. Nailed
Because
that one.
I've been at other brokerages and where it was like a rat race and it was like you were competing against each other and I'm like, "Wait, we're on the same team here," like and they didn't get it. They're like, "No, we're not," like this is my listing, like I saw that you were going to go and you're just like, "Wait, what?" Like
Ye
and so when you get into a brokerage that allows you to form a team. I probably call Brian with the most obscure questions ever because I do a different style of real estate, right? And so a lot of
Mhm.
brokerages don't want to take our team on.
Mm.
And, we're a high liability in all honesty. We have our own E&O insurance on top of E&O insurance from REMAX,
Really?
right?
Oh,
We had investors that were like, we can't pay a percentage, we have to do this. So I had to structure everything around all these different models of business that we have. And
wow.
at the end of the day, we were like, we took a different kinda situation, right? So, like, we don't have a cap, right? Like, most agents at RE/MAX have a cap, right? And we don't, right? So, we had to
Wow.
take some good with the bad, but the good is so good, and there's, like, bad, but you're gonna have, bad at a lot of brokerages, right? Like, at
Yeah,
everywhere you go, right?
yeah, yeah.
And the, bad is really just, I suck at paperwork, So it's like, it's my own fault, Like, I can't even blame anyone else.
Sure.
Um and so they give me grace. They allow me to continue to grow my team and think obscurely about things that we're going to do. And they
Nice.
support it. And not only do they support it, but when Anthony stepped down, I contemplated leaving Remax. I was like, man, I just love
Wow.
your vibe. And, having that connection, not necessarily like that I needed the connection at the corporate level, but like I just felt blindsided. I felt, "Man, I just started here and you left and da 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 da." And honestly, I called him and I was like, "I'm gonna leave." And he was like, "Let me talk to you. Like, let's sit down and
Sure.
chat." And he did. He came in and he chatted. He didn't have to, right? He wasn't getting paid for it. It wasn't a, whatever. And he came in and he told me, he had a conversation with me. And, I don't like to try to get religious or whatever, but both Anthony and
Mhm.
I are, pretty
Oh,
involved in our church level and,
mhm.
he said, he said something in regards to like, go home and pray about it in a way, like and I did and I was just like he's still there. He just showed me that he's still there, and even today, like,
Yep,
he has no
yep.
managerial role. I'm not on his team. He's not making a dollar off of anything that I do, but if I were to call him right now and say, "Hey, I got this weird thing," or, "Hey, I have a probate thing, and I've never been on a
Yes.
probate. Would you go on a listing appointment with me?" There'd be no questions asked, he'd go with me.
Oh my gosh. So true. So
And
true.
so, I think there's a lot to say about that. I could be my own broker, right? I have my broker's
Yeah.
license.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but to be in a culture like I'm in right now, you just can't beat that.
What do you think your business would look like if you weren't, with the brokerage right now? If you had you not come back,
I
or
wouldn't be
had you
where
not
I'm at right.
stayed? Did you
I
leave? You left and then came back, right?
I was there in 2008. I worked for
Yeah.
Ian Maker, and so we did all bank owned, and so I did a bunch of monthly
Oh.
marketing reports. I was doing broker price opinions for them.
Oh,
I
wow.
wasn't selling a lot of traditional real estate at that time. I was just doing REOs.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was keeping us so busy if you can imagine what 2008 to 2012 looked like.
Jeez.
So when I left there, I left to go work with an investor and I built
I
his
see.
brokerage and I built his team and we built a hedge fund in 2012. I flipped 297 homes in 1 year. Yeah, it
Wow.
was a lot. It was a lot. And
But you were
then
doing it for someone else though, huh?
I know
And
I
it
was
was
making
like,
money for someone else.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? I can sit here and I can go back and kick myself and I can be like the what ifs or whatever, but
Sure.
I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have the skills that I have today if I wouldn't have taken the time to really invest in that company and learn everything that I learned. And I was being paid to learn things, like that's how I
Sure.
have to look at it, right? Yeah, like I was being paid a generous salary. So
Mhm.
I guaranteed how many people in real estate get guaranteed money, right? I was guaranteed on the
Yeah.
1st, money was gonna show up in my bank account. On the 15th,
That's what's
money was
up.
gonna show up in my bank account. And did I have to be at work at 7? And did sometimes I not leave till 7 at night? Sometimes, right? But my kids
Mhm.
could come to my office with me, and I was a single
That's
mom, so
cool.
having a steady paycheck meant something to me. Having
Oh, I
medical
bet.
insurance meant something to me. And
Yeah.
still being able to be a real estate agent meant something. So I got the best of all worlds, and I learned an incredible amount of information that I was able to take and go build for another investor. When that hedge fund blew up even bigger and they needed us all to relocate to LA,
Uh,
I couldn't do that, obviously, and that's not my jam. I'm not living in the worst traffic area of California. Um,
Imagine if you're
and
there now.
I know. Oh, man, I know. And in 2012, I was diagnosed with cancer. So it was like a huge
Wow.
wake up call. And it was just like, oh crap, you need to take a step back, focus on what's really important, which is your health, which obviously, if I flipped 297 homes the year before, health was probably not real high on the Richter
Sure.
scale.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I ate a home cooked meal in 2012 at all.
Wow. Just
um,
grinding.
yeah. And I was lucky that I did though, I was fortunate that I had the ability to do that because had I started my cancer stuff without that skill and without that tenacity, I don't know, I might have buried my head. I might have
Just giving
not been
up.
able to fight as hard as I did.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Man, that really probably built you into the such a strong person that you are today, that sounds like.
It
That's
did.
huge.
It did. It changed my life.
So, is it in remission? Is it gone? Or are you
Um,
cancer
we're
free or
we're never gonna say that probably.
Oh,
I
I'm
have the
sorry.
BRCA gene that, mutated, and so once that happens, they are just like, "Oh, we're gonna monitor you for the rest of your life," kinda thing.
I see.
Um, it doesn't phase me anymore, and, I still just, like, live my life like I don't, you know?
Doesn't seem like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
my
you
business
seem
partner
super
is,
healthy.
like, really crunchy, so
Really?
she's
My
very good at making sure that I, like, "How much water have you drank? Do you have electrolytes? Are you taking this vitamin? We shouldn't be doing this. You can't have that because it has sugar in it.
Oh
Cancer
my
feeds on
god.
sugar." She's, like,
Yeah,
constantly,
yeah.
like, in my ear, right? So, you know.
Dude, you know what? I never even knew that term crunchy until my wife, like, just we she had the first baby and all of a sudden she's crunchy, and I was like, "What in the F is that?" And so she had to, like, break it down to me. So when you said that, I was like, "Oh my god, I think your business partner and my wife would get along perfect. They would
They'll
love
probably
each
be
other."
besties. If your wife needs anyone, my business partner has 5 kids, so if your wife
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
needs any advice, I could give you her number.
Oh my god, that would hit off so quick. I that's probably we'll let that one be for a while.
I mean,
If it's
if
meant
you
to be,
want
you never
all of
know.
your home products to be removed from your house, give her your number. If you don't do that to
Yeah, yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah, no, my wife's already bad enough. I mean, I love her to death, but some of the things I'm just like, "Does it really matter? Like, what's so bad about bleach? Like, bleach cleans stuff." Like, she's like,
Oh,
"No."
yeah. Yeah, I
Wants
know.
natural cleaning products and blah, blah, blah.
You're all, "Is it
Like,
really clean though?"
I know it's not though, it's not.
Mm-mm. Because we're so
Anyways,
accustomed to, like, "It smells like bleach,
yeah.
it must be clean."
Yeah, yeah, and it actually I mean, it's, like, effective. It's, like, it actually kills stuff and, like, I don't know,
No, you're like, "You
some
do
of the
realize
stuff
bleach kills mold. It's probably a
it
good
does.
thing."
Exactly. I know it's not supposed to be drank or anything like that, but, like, I'm not trying to rub it on my skin or nothing. But, she's just, yeah, especially, like, with, making now she's into making, her own lotion and candles, and it's like
Wait till
yeah,
your body
she's
wash becomes her soap.
oh, I know. Oh, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. But, anyway, good times. I love it. So, sorry, I don't mean to go on a tangent, but it's good little, I don't know, introduction to what getting into the questions. Are you
Right.
okay with, starting some questions now?
Yep, let's go.
Alright, let's do it. Alright, so with over 19 years in the real estate industry, what initially inspired you to pursue a career in the real estate, and how's your journey we kind of went over it, but if you wanna elaborate some more, how has it evolved over the years?
I feel like we've gone over that part kind of, but
Yeah,
I
let's
got in the
we can go on.
industry because I got pregnant at 20 and my dad was kind of just like, "Well, you better figure it out, kid," like and it wasn't that I was floundering, it was just that, like I was in college, I didn't really have like a direction at that point, and there was no way I was gonna be able to be a single mom and go to college and have no income, right? That doesn't
Sure.
really compute. And so my dad was a builder. He did construction my whole life and I grew up around it. And so I was like, how hard could this be? And then when 2005 happened, I got my first commission check and it was like 50 grand,
Oh,
right? I did the loan,
what?
I did the buy side, I did the list side.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was just like, I can
I could
retire
do
this
that.
year.
Yeah.
I'm
For real.
21 years old. I'm like, I made
I'm
$50,000.
rich.
Wow. And now I'm like, we need to make that in the first 2 months of the year. Okay, guys?
Yeah, yeah, for real.
Yeah, so that's how I got into real estate, and then, yeah, it just kind of
Cool,
evolved.
cool.
I was told that I needed to learn every facet of real estate if I was gonna make it my lifelong career because real estate market goes in waves. And so I did. I took his advice. Obviously, I came in at the hottest part and it was amazing and incredible, and real estate was just booming. And then I transitioned to working with a short sale negotiator, and I learned how to negotiate short sales. And in 2014, my team and I negotiated 457 short sales for agents that didn't know how to do it. And we charged a pretty
Wow.
penny to do that. So literally we
Oh, yeah.
sat in an office from like 7 in the morning till 6 at night and we had paper files back then, right? So we had thousands of these paper files all over our office and we were negotiating all these short sales. And
Right,
also working for a bank-owned real estate agent, right? So I learned how to do cash for keys, how to, do evictions, how to do trash outs, what that
right,
looked like, how to get vendors in there and stuff like that. And then when I transitioned to flipping houses, I already had the skills, right? I already knew the attorney that I needed for eviction. I already knew how to get people out of the house. I already knew the lines to call. I already, just everything. And then I started to grow into just becoming a comping machine, right? I comped properties literally from the time I woke up until the time I went to bed. And it was just, we were comping properties that were going to auction. We were driving properties. We were coming up with rehab budgets. And once you learn all of that, if you and I were to
mhm,
go up against a listing appointment, I always tell people this. If you
sure.
and I show up against a listing appointment, and you show up in a collared shirt and I show up in a collared shirt, I'm completely covered in tattoos, right? I'm gonna look a little different than probably you, right? And so right off the gate, they're hiring you, right? They're like, yes and no, But
Yeah,
then
sure.
I'm gonna comp their property and you're gonna comp their property. I'm gonna win, right? And
Mhm.
I'm gonna win because that's the skill that I toned in on, right? I know how to do that better than anything else in my job. If you ask anyone, they people call me in my office and are like, "Can you comp this? I'm getting ready to list it. Can you look at this? Can you look at this?" I get more calls to comp properties for other agents than any other calls.
That's an art. You must be gifted
I
because it's not easy.
I sat with appraisers. I got involved with the association. I found out who the appraisers were. I asked them a lot of questions. I asked for adjustments. I have some of the top appraisers in the areas, their acquisition adjustments. And so I know what they take off for being near a railroad. I know what they take off for having a third bathroom versus a, fourth bathroom. I know what it costs
Okay.
to, put in that third bathroom if I need to so I can get that level.
Wow.
So I really if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it 110%. And so I just had to learn how to be the best at that because I wasn't gonna be the best at project management. I'm late to everything, right? So I'm probably not gonna be great at project management because I'm gonna be late. But so I had to find my niche, right? And that was my niche.
That's huge. I mean, honestly, it's such a hard thing. I mean, there's always those easy cookie cutters where there's like a million comps that are like the same type
Right,
in the same
stucco
area.
box. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, but then there's
yeah.
those ones where it's just like you can't even find one from miles away that was like 4 years ago, and it's like, how I don't know how you guys that's pretty cool. You're at least I know you're the person I can call now. I'm
There you
gonna
go.
be bugging
Yeah,
you too, like, "Hey,
yeah, no
help me
worries.
out." So how about what's the most unique or heartwarming story you've been a part of during a transaction? How did it impact your perspective on your work?
I
You
did
have one
really
for
read
us?
that question. Yeah, I read that question and I was like, man, that's going to be hard for me because I just work with mostly, investors and we're all real cold, But
Sure, sure.
so I really dug deep, and I don't know if you remember the Caldor fire.
I
I
do.
had a client that we were listing their house. I had some friends that lived across the street, and I had sold their house and helped them buy the house across the street. And they lived in Pollock Pines. And my clients, who are friends, called me and they said, "Hey, our neighbor across the street wants to sell their house. They want to talk to you." And I didn't market myself at the time to do traditional real estate, so, I went up and, I wasn't selling myself, right? Like, I have a career, in real estate. I was just really, you know, just genuine, right? And I was really honest with them, especially because 'cause they're in a high fire area, I don't sugarcoat a lot of stuff. I'm like, "Man, the buyers up here are it's gonna be really tough. I'm gonna be really honest with you." And these are people that needed to retire, right? Like they needed
Mhm.
to that the house was too much for them. They wanted to travel. They had this big RV and their goal was to just travel across the country while they had time.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was getting ready to retire from being a bus driver up there and her husband had already retired and they wanted to set out. And just hearing their heartfelt story and how important it was to sell their house, I was like, okay, I'm going to bring in a friend of mine to co-list this with me because she's more of the traditional real estate agent. She's more of the warm and fuzzy. And so I brought her in. And 2 weeks after we went into escrow, Caldor fire exploded. And the amount of emotional conversations we had to have with our client and just the pain of watching them remove all their stuff from their home, but not because they were moving, because they were scared they were gonna lose it, and they were in an RV park, and the community we didn't know, and the buyers were getting cold feet, and it was just like it was a lot to hold that whole thing together. Obviously, we had to extend escrow because we couldn't get to the property. I mean, it was just a lot, and to see the emotions and to see the impact that that had on the community was probably the most impactful transaction I had ever done, and when that closed, I cried.
Most
I was just like these people hugged me and they cried, and we, like, kinda all cried together. It was, like, so much
aw,
work. It was just
aw.
so much work to hold it all together and to keep our emotions in check so that we could be there and be emotionally available for our clients.
Meeting the rock basically for them.
Correct.
How long did that transaction end up being because you
4
had to
months.
4 months? That's a long time.
Yeah,
Man, that must have been a crazy roller coaster of emotions for everyone.
it
I'm
was.
so glad to hear that they so have you do you still, like, keep in touch, like, once in a while and see how they're
And they
doing?
send
Yeah.
pictures and
Oh,
videos of where they're at
that's
and stuff like that. It's really cool.
that's huge. Yeah, because they're never gonna forget you for the
Oh,
rest of their
no.
lives because 'cause you're the
Yeah.
ones that, like, basically saved their
Yeah, they
so
send
they're
me
able to
little
actually
trinkets
retire.
from different areas. It's
That's
so
cool.
cute. Yeah.
I love it, I love it. That's so cool. So, what's the most unusual or challenging request a client has ever made, and how did you handle it?
Oh, man. I think everything clients ask for is challenging at this point. Um,
Super random sometimes, huh?
I had a client well, it was actually my dad.
Close enough.
Really, it was my dad. So we were selling his house and it was like a 5,000 square foot house. He had like a 2,000 square foot shop filled to the brim with all of his woodwork stuff and just
Oh,
materials and everything.
yeah.
And he wanted to accept an offer with an 18-day close. And I was
And he wasn't even
and
packed
he
or
had
anything?
well, not only was he not packed, but he had nowhere to go.
Oh, n
So
okay,
he said, "I need you to negotiate a 90-day free rent back
okay.
a 90-day free rent back, and I get to remodel the bathroom when they go to remodel the house.
Why?
They have to use me because I want this house to be 110% complete by me, and the only thing I didn't do was the other side of the
Oh.
house's bathroom. And I'm like, "You need this in a contract?" And so it was like trying to figure out with my broker if that was even allowed, like, can you add a contractor to the contract? It was just so much, and I was like, and he was being so difficult about it. I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" You know? But it was
Yeah,
crazy because these people wanted his house so bad that they were like, "Okay, okay, we'll
really?
do it." And I
Wow.
fought him. I was like, "Nope, nope, not gonna say that, not gonna ask that, not gonna do
Yeah,
that." And
yeah.
then, finally he was just like, "I just remember, I'm the client,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
your
If you're
dad.
not
You
going
signed an
to,
agreement that said you would do what I told you to do, you know?"
like, damn it, you got a point.
And it went his way, right? But it also taught me, like, even the most outlandish things, you never know what the other party is gonna say unless you ask.
That's a good point.
Yep.
That's crazy, especially like you said, if they really want the house, then you'd be surprised at what they're willing to accept, so
Yeah.
so they went for all basically everything, and
And
he
don't
ended up
worry, he
doing
stayed
it?
till the 90th day.
Ah, that's so crazy.
And the
That's so
craziest part,
funny.
I was flipping a house and I said, "You do realize that you have, like, 28 days, and you
To
still
get
haven't found a house. You're being that picky and you still haven't found a house." And he said, "You know that flip that you got over there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm gonna buy that off of you. And if you don't want me to renege on my contract, you're gonna have to let me buy it off of you." So we did. He took over one of my flips
That's
and he moved
hilarious.
into it.
How convenient of him.
Oh,
He probably
yeah.
knew that in the back of his mind the whole time
The
too, like
whole time he was like, "I'm not
That's just
homeless," you know?
I love it.
Yeah,
Smart man, though.
yeah.
So, is he still there?
No, no.
Oh,
He
he
actually
moved again,
bought,
huh?
my old broker's house, and he's living in it
That's
now with a
hilarious.
shop on the property again. Yeah,
Really? What
yeah.
city?
Orangeville.
Orangeville? I love
Yeah,
Orangeville, my buddy lives out there. I just love
yeah.
that there's, like, big lots and lots of room, so pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
like that I'm not like my neighbor behind me can't see in my backyard, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And you're, like, near, like, lakes and rivers, and it's
Oh,
just
yeah,
yeah,
the running
it's
trails. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Perfect, yeah. My buddy, and my, daughter goes to school, it's a, Waldorf charter school
Yeah,
called Sun River or something like that, or
mhm.
anyway, yeah, it's, she loves it, but it's, through 8th grade, so my youngest will be able to go to school with her for a little bit, so that's,
Yes.
and we don't have to pay for it, so that's part's cool, it's public.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
They
open
do a lot
enrollment's
of
crushed.
fundraisers though, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
Lots,
yeah.
lots. So, lots
That's
of,
where you get your name
parent
out.
involvement. Yeah, yeah, that's what, I was definitely gonna try to start doing and getting involved with that for sure, and it's a good start. I mean, once I have more time, I wanna do more stuff, but, kind of I mean, obviously not on your level. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that, but, yeah, just be able to get involved would be awesome, kids sports and stuff like that, so but, so what about investment properties? Given your specialty in investments and development land, what key factors do you advise clients to consider when evaluating potential investment properties?
I always look for multi-level out of it. So when I'm looking at a property, whether buying it at auction, off market, a lot of these properties we're buying sight unseen, right? I've seen the front of the house because we drove by it, but we can't get in them,
Mm,
right? So I'm always looking at multiple avenues to get out. If I can't flip it and make the number that I need to make, can I hold it as a long-term rental? If I can hold it as a long-term rental, then what does that pencil look like? And if I can hold it as a long-term rental, then great. What if I can hold it as an Airbnb or a short-term rental? So when I comp a property, I'm looking at 3 different strategies to get out of it, and if I can get out in more than one way, I'll do it, and if I can't get out in more than one way, then I won't do it.
and that's what you mean by out, multi-level out?
Well, I mean, I won't purchase a property at auction or off market or any investment properties. I won't instruct my clients to do it if I can't make the cap rate work for a flip, and I
Uh-huh,
can't make the cap rate work for either a long-term rental or a short-term rental, then I won't buy it. But if I can
got it.
make it work for if I think I can make it work for a flip based off the limited knowledge I have, and I can long-term rent it or short-term rent it, I'll go after it. But if I
Yeah.
can't do the long or the short, then it makes it a little bit more gut wrenching to go after it because there is so many unknown variables. If I can get into the house and come up with a rehab budget, then all day long I'll just flip the house. But if I have
Okay.
to go sight unseen, I need to know that there's multiple ways to bail my investor out of it if we have to.
That makes sense. Very cool. Um, so what aspects of your job brings you the most joy, and how do you keep the passion alive during these tough times?
Um,
During tough times, sorry.
I would say I really, when all of us are in the office and we're all comping properties and we're all coming up with the rehab budget and we're like really trying to tighten our numbers and we send that, number to either the wholesaler or auction number or whatever, and we get the property, it's just that big, like, you know, it's that rush, and
Yeah.
especially when you're comping for auction because you're on a time frame and you're just like, going through the motions and stuff and it's fast paced. Uh I would say like that in the initial part is my favorite part of my
That's cool.
job, but then walking the property at the very end and seeing the amount of hard work that went in, not just from me and my team, from like the design aspect of it and the picking out the finishes and stuff like that, that's all fun and glorious. But our our contractors work so freaking hard. We are not the easiest team to work with, as a contractor side of things, because we are so busy with trying to acquire and sell the properties that
Sure.
bringing product to the property is a little struggling to us. And yeah, so I would say the project management side of it and working with the contractors is our hardest side of
Mhm.
our job, and the easiest is acquiring the properties.
Do you do, like, all aspects, like, all your team? You do like, there's not one person that does, like, the design or one person that does the comps like you, and no, it's just
No,
kinda
we
through
would
and through,
like
just get
that.
it done?
For me, I'm like super type A. So I'm like, okay, I'll do this. You're
That
going
would
to
be
do
nice.
this. Right. But if
Yeah,
you really think
yeah.
about it, you're a real estate agent, right? Like it just doesn't work like
You
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm the only one that pulls building permits. Other than that, everyone does everything.
Okay, that's
You
cool.
know, I would say that I would never buy a property that I only comped. Even though
Mm.
I know my skill set is off the chart, when
Mhm.
you're looking at a property and you might be emotionally connected because you're like, "Oh, I really want this property," like, "I worked so hard on this rehab budget, I already went out there." So, like, you'll start to morph the comps into whatever you want it to be, you're like, "Well, it could be this," you know? So I will never buy a
That's a
property
good
without
point.
somebody else, comping the property, and I think especially at the level that our team is at, there's a lot of trust that goes in with that too, like,
Mm,
we have to trust each other. We're
sure,
playing with a lot of money and a lot of it isn't ours, and
sure,
so,
sure.
um, I would say that the level of trust between me and the 3 girls is incredible.
That's so cool. And you guys are you did you guys all grow up around here, or you guys just how did you guys all get connected?
No, my business partner and I were tired of bidding against each other.
You're like, "You can't beat them, join them," right?
That was kind of our attitude. I mean, we had bid against each other for 15 years,
Oh, wow.
and it was just
Wow.
like, and she had been with the same brokerage the whole time, and it was just like a mom and pop brokerage, and never got to experience that big brokerage or the team culture. And
Okay.
we had talked about it a couple years previously and just kind of like hemmed and hawed and, just wasn't the right time. And I think that when the stars aligned, they aligned. And when we came in, we were like, we're gonna do this. And we blew it up so fast and so big.
That's
And we still have a lot of growing pains right now, but we're figuring it out. And then one of the girls has been on my team for almost 10 years. She started with me as a driver. She was just driving our properties for us, and then she started doing auction for us. And then she got her real estate license and became a mom and went back to
I love
school to
it.
get her master's. And during that transition, she was trying to do both. So she kind of works more with me on the land development side. She's really wanting to pursue some eco-friendly, affordable housing in the Yolo County area. So that's kind
I
of our
like it.
passion project for the middle of this year is we're going to start looking into how we can develop some land out there and put like a
Boy.
community center together and a community farm and kind of build the affordable housing around it.
There you go.
And we both have like this sweet spot for being single moms. So,
Yeah, that's so
that's
cool.
that's where her passion is on our team. She doesn't really get involved in flips and stuff anymore unless we need her to. She definitely helps me out on the property management side.
Okay,
And then one of the other girls on our team was also a big competitor. She wasn't competing with her own money or anything like that. She worked for one of the biggest investment companies that we all learned to not like at auction. And
I
I'll
see.
leave their name out of the
Sure,
podcast. But
sure.
yeah, she was working for them, and we were just like, "Ew, ew, ew, you work for them,
Yeah,
right?"
yeah, yeah,
And then when she quit and she went and worked for some other guy, we were like, "Man, she'd be an asset, she'd be an asset." And we just all
yeah.
kinda I took everyone to coffee and I was like, we gotta figure this out. Like, we're all brilliant human beings and we all bring so much different to the table.
That's so
Like how we would be a force to be reckoned with if we could all come together. And it took a little convincing on all of our parts, right? We all had to
yeah.
and I think that I probably have the most growing pains because my business partner would say she does because she's been on her own for so long and I had been a part of a team. But I've always been the team, right? I was
Sure.
always the top agent and then everyone kind of worked under me. And so
Okay.
like having a business partner that has just as much knowledge as I do and skill set and she brings so much more I believe she brings so much more value to our partnership because of her life skills, because of her tenacity and her heart. She has like the biggest passionate heart and she just wants to do good for all. And so she's our warm and fuzzy with our clients and stuff like that because I'm definitely not, right? And for me, it was like letting go of the control. I was like, "No, I'll do it. I'll do it. Oh, who's gonna do the Avid? Who's gonna do the
Sure.
listing agreement? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that?" And I was like, "I got it. I got it. I got it." And finally, at the end of the day, I was like, "Fuck, I don't got it."
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
TC's like, "Where's the listing agreement?" I was like, like I don't know." And it
Yeah.
was like this just hit us a couple of weeks ago. And most of the time, I'm the seller, right? So the
Okay,
homes are in my name, right? So like
I see.
I'm signing the listing agreement. So I signed the listing agreement 3 weeks after we went on the market, right? Which we all know is like real big taboo, right?
Oopsie.
And so it was funny because that was like the breaking moment. Everyone's like, "Amber's no longer doing listing agreements,"
Yeah.
I think
That's a huge
REMAX was
break.
like, "Amber can't do paperwork. Moving on."
I love
But it was
it.
a hard transition to realize, I think more so that I couldn't do it all. It wasn't
Yeah.
that I couldn't let go of the control, it was that it felt like I was letting myself down because, man, if you just got up an extra half hour earlier, could you have grinded and got it in? And I spent a lot of time over the last couple of years doing a lot of coaching and realizing that there has to be a good balance between work life and home life. And I had never had that. And
Sure.
so over the last 2 years, I have found that, and I've learned to really appreciate it, and actually, my
So
business partner has taught me to value that. She's married, she has 5 kids, and she still is able to do everything that I do, but enjoy a life at home with her family.
that's huge just to be able to have that and, like, on different levels because, like, it sounds like you've grown so much, and I'm sure she's grown also in different ways from working with you, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
even
I push
better.
her out of her comfort zone for sure.
So this whole all girl aspect, is this,
Not
intentional
on
or is it j
purpose. It's
okay,
not on
okay,
purpose,
yeah.
not on
Well, I
it's
mean, I'm
funny
not hating
because
on it, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
I think we're able to do that. I always joke because I couldn't be a hairstylist because I couldn't sit with all the I don't have a lot of girlfriends, right? I have a lot of guy friends.
Sure,
Um, and I think that the reason why we're able to do it is because all of the other people we deal with are men, right? All of our
yeah,
contractors, all of our subcontractors,
yeah.
um, we're constantly dealing with them. We're going into Home Depot. We spend more time at Home Depot and HG Supply than we do any other store, I promise you. Target, Bel Air, all that doesn't play a toll to what we
Mm,
do at these
sure.
hardware stores, right?
I believe it, I
And
believe it.
all of our investors are males.
Yeah,
It's
makes sense.
unfortunate, but, where are you females at? No,
Right, really though, step it
but
up. No.
so I think that it works and we're able to do that, and I think that for our investors and our contractors, it works for them because they get a different side as well, and
Yeah, yeah,
we have thick skin, we for the most part, my business partner and I both grew up on job sites, right? Both of our dads
yeah.
did construction, they worked on things and stuff like that. So, when we drop on a job site, we're not real sensitive, you know.
You can hold your own.
Right, right. Like I always tell people, if human resources walked onto a job site, we'd all
Oh,
lose our jobs.
oh my god. I bet, I bet. Yeah, just to be a fly on those, open walls, like,
Yeah,
just the things that I mean, because it's unfortunately, just there's just some fields that where now, if you're just looking at real estate agents,
yeah,
like, in as a whole, there's more females, I would say, but
that's
in the
correct.
field of what you're doing, of the short sales and the flipping and investors, yeah, it just seems like there's more males. I mean, but it sounds like you guys it's a perfect little dynamic for you guys, it sounds like, because not only you guys are empowering each other, you guys just have grown up in that, like, either brothers or just been have more male friends, so it's just kind of natural to you guys. So it's just like no big deal. But I'm sure these guys love being able to work with you guys. It's just having a different, not having to work with males all the time and just like these
Right.
girls can hold their own. They're awesome. They do their stuff. They know their stuff. So
Yeah, and then
that's
when you
pretty
go to
cool to hear.
auction, it's like the good old boys down there,
Is
and you
it?
gotta have thick skin, we're really
Yeah.
the only girls that go,
Oops.
and
I
y
love it.
being around them for the last, crap, 13 years,
Uh
like some
huh.
of these investors, they've been down there the whole time just like we have, and
Yeah.
they start out and they're like, "Oh, who are these little chicks coming in?"
Yeah. Yeah. Who do
And
they
now
think
they're
they
just like,
are?
"Oh crap, watch out, the girls are here," and that's
Yeah.
what they
Yeah. Get your
say,
shit together.
they're just like, "Oh, here they come, damn it,"
Yeah.
what do they know that we
I
don't?
know, I know. Hopefully, they don't get what we're looking for.
I know, I know.
That's awesome. So, short sales and foreclosures, as a specialist in short sales and foreclosure properties, what common misconceptions do clients have about these transactions, and how do you guide them through the process?
Really, it's more so our investors are pretty smart, right? We're all pretty savvy. We all comp properties together. So our investors are very heavily involved in the process of acquiring the properties. It's more the resale side. And it's really, I guess if we double end it, we're talking to the client, but it's more educating the agents, really. Cause I think the number one thing we get as a group is like, we just saw that you guys just bought this house for 300, whether we bought it on market, off market, or at the courthouse steps. Obviously, the deed's recorded and it's public record, right? So everyone knows that we bought this house for 300. Here I go listing it for 5, right? And they're just like, why should my client pay $200,000 more than you did? And I was like, well, where was your client? Did they have $300,000 in cash to go to the auction and buy this property? Number one, no. The answer is no. Because if they did, they would have gone and they didn't. Sorry. And then it's like, and that's my attitude. This is why I don't deal with a lot of agents,
Yeah.
but Amanda does because, I'm just like, really? You want to know why? Let me just show you. I've been to that property 50 times and my time's worth money. Um, but it's also like educating agents. It's like, what does a kitchen cost? And a kitchen would cost your client 30 grand. That kitchen cost me 15, but I had to work and develop those relationships with the builders and the cabinet companies and the quartz companies and the vendors that sell the floors, right? Like my vendor called me last year from the floor company and he was like, "You were my number one client last year." And I was like, "Wait, what?" He was like, "Yeah, you spent $471,000." I spent
Whoa.
$471,000 last year on floors,
Boring.
on
Dang.
flooring,
Flooring alone. That's
flooring
really
alone.
crazy.
Sometimes he did
That's
baseboards
crazy.
at properties, but that was it, and it was just like, it was a big wake up call. And I started to, talk to agents and I was like, do you realize the amount of risk,
Mm,
liability, and financial investment that goes into these properties prior to even knowing if you're going to be able to get that investment out?
good
So
point.
your client's coming in and paying 500, you're paying for the fact that that property is now FHA approved. There has Your clients aren't going to have to fix a water heater, an HVAC, a roof. They've got a new kitchen. Most of the
Yeah.
time, and the biggest warm fuzzy that our girls get is taking a house that nobody could buy, right? You couldn't get financing on it, maybe conventional if you were lucky. but nobody could buy this house, and watching a first-time homeowner be able to buy that house FHA with 3.5% down because we made it FHA ready. When we walk a property, we go in and we look at all the requirements for FHA and VA. I am a huge supporter of veterans.
That's so cool.
My dad's a vet. My family's, I have come from a long string of veterans, and to get a house ready so that a veteran could come in and the appraiser could eat their dinner off the floor, because we all know that's what has to happen, right?
Basically, right?
That's that's where I feel the added value is, but unfortunately for us, it's like our added value is educating the agent so they can go educate their client because they've already ruined it with their client, right? They were uneducated. They were like, "Oh gosh, I don't know why you would pay 500," right? So they've already put the negative bug in the head.
Yep.
And now
Yep.
I always tell them, I'm like, "Should have started with me because now you're going to make yourself look like an ass when you go back to your client and you have to have the conversation with them."
Yeah. Yeah, they're always gonna make the investors look like the bad guys, like you
Yep.
guys are just trying to cut corners and make a quick buck, but when reality is, like, you guys are actually good people, and you guys care about what you do, and you guys are looking for FHA and VA approved or to be able to make them ready and approved for that. That goes a long way because, honestly, like, that people don't even realize how important that is, like, because not everybody can just go and say, "Hey, I want to sell my house." Oh, and it's not actually FHA approved because there's all these things that are wrong with it. So that just takes out a whole big pool of buyers of people that deserve it the most, and then you're stuck with, so just knowing that people like you and the people that you work with, that you guys actually care about what you're doing. Yeah, I'm sure it's got to get frustrating because you're having to explain, like, not only like what you do, but you guys, they have to, like, really talk to you and be like, "Oh, yeah, she's actually pretty dang cool. Like, I could, I probably should have started with her."
Yeah. Well, it's like
Unfortunately.
we don't wanna sell a crappy product, right? We're we're also a licensed contractor. We also
Good
pull
point.
permits, so we're not the traditional real estate flippers who are out here, like, shutting all the blinds in the house, and telling our contractors they have to work, after hours so that, the inspectors don't see them, like, I'm the girl that's at the building department, like, begging, like, "Just give me a permit, please," because they take so long, so, like, we do it the right way, and
Very
we
cool.
we definitely pay licensed contractors because we don't want crappy work, right? I'm a broker, I'm a contract I don't want anyone to be able to come back to me. I don't want a
Sure.
lawsuit, I don't wanna go
Sure.
see my time with a judge. The only time I see a judge is when I'm evicting people. Other than that, I don't wanna see the judge, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must sleep real well at night too, knowing that,
Well, I do,
the hard work you do.
because th we pass on a lot of properties because our budgets are higher, because we have to use licensed contractors, and we do use quality products, right? I'm not putting in a dollar per square foot crappy laminate floor that you're bouncing on, like, I'm putting in a $3.50 square foot, flooring, and it's gonna
Yeah.
cost me
Yeah.
$2 to put it in, so I'm 550 into a floor where most investors are doing it for less than a dollar, it's like I want
It's a big
quality
difference.
work, right? I want quality, and I want quality over quantity.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So let's talk about technology in real estate. So in what ways have technological advances changed your approach to real estate, particularly in marketing and client interactions?
So, we use a lot of platforms. I own an Airbnb management company, and so,
Cool.
we use a lot of platforms on real estate platforms over there. Obviously, we use Property Radar for foreclosures. We have a lot of different tools that we're able to use. If you ask my kids, I'm technology challenged. And I will tell you when Metrolist changes things, or, CAR changes their forms, I'm like, like, I'm such
Which
a
happens a
creature of
lot.
habit. I know, which happens often. I'm like a creature of habit. So when things change, I'm calling my 21-year-old, like, how do you do this? But I would say that I would think everyone on my team would answer this differently. Chat GPT is my best friend.
Oh, yeah. That's
I use Chat GPT for almost everything. Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it's only getting better too, like, they're
It
just
is.
improving
AI
it.
is, ugh, I'm just so intrigued. I'm
I
very intrigued.
I love that. I love that. Well put. Me too. I'm I'm just the type person that's like, it's here, it's coming, and it's not going anywhere, so you might
And
as
let's
well
embrace
embrace
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. 'Cause, like, the people that aren't using it, they're just gonna hate on it, or they're afraid of it, or whatever it may be, whatever concerns that they have. Like, if you were just to get past that, I think you'd really enjoy it and really be able to get something out of it, because no matter what field you're in, I feel like there you can use it for so many different ways, like, and so, yeah, I'm a huge proponent too, I love it. But, uh, as far as I'm also, like, techie, I like getting, like, the new phones. I'm not a Apple guy, but, like, I'm so into, like, the Androids or the new Samsung, so, like, the new, Samsung phone comes out this month, so I'm, like,
You're,
already
like, all
pre-buying
geeked
it.
out about it.
Oh, big time, pre-ordered. I got a friend at with the state that he and I are, like, every year I pay, like, for, AT&T, it's called Next Up, so it's, like, $5 more a month, so
So do I.
I can get the new every year, so
Yeah.
it's like we're like, "Oh, yeah, it's coming out on the 25th, let's get ready to order it." We're such dorks. But, it's kinda slowing down now that with the kids involved, but
Yeah.
so what about let's do some advice for some first-time buyers. What common challenges do first-time buyers face in today's market, and how do you assist them in navigating these obstacles? You probably aren't really doing that right now, are you?
Um, I think I'll speak for my team on that because we talk about this a lot with our
Okay.
team. And obviously, with one of the girls on our team just being newly licensed, we've got her out doing open houses, and she is starting to work with first time home buyers and stuff. And really, I start with the lending. I'm just like I really push, not necessarily my lender. I could care less whoever somebody feels comfortable with. But I really push, like, educating on the lending side of things. People get so excited, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I qualify." Yes, you do, and they're like, "I qualify and I can afford a $2,500 a month payment, and this is what I qualify for," and they're so excited, right? And then I always feel like I'm the Debbie Downer. I'm like, "Okay, so I'm really glad that you qualify for this, but have you thought about, okay, you like this house, and I'll call the agent. Can you ask your clients what their PG&E bill is? Can you ask what the SMUD is? What does their water, sewer, and garbage run, and now
Yeah.
we're up to $3,400 a month. Can you still afford it? And then they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh my gosh," and it's like they're mad at first because they're like, "Man, wait, you just took this, wind right out of my sail." And then it's like at the end of the day, when they close escrow and 6 months later, they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I can still eat at McCooney's. I can still go out and that's what I tell people all the time. Like, what's your favorite restaurant? And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
had one
yeah.
of my first I remember this lady like no other.
Yeah.
And she was a first time home buyer and she was gonna not work with me. She was like, "Are you seriously not willing to show me houses at that dollar amount?" And I was like, "No, I'm not, and you can go find another agent." And I said, "Because here's what I don't want. I don't want in a year you to call me and be all pissed off and ask me to short sell your house or whatever because you can't afford it anymore." And she was like, "Well, my lender tells me I can." And I was like, "Yeah, well, does your lender know what you spend all your money on? And the
Yeah.
answer is
Yeah.
no, like, "What's your favorite restaurant?" And she was like, "Ella." And I was
You're
like,
like,
"Oh, how often
"Oh."
do we eat at Ella?" And she's like, "I try to eat twice a month."
Mm.
Right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, do you still wanna eat at Ella? And do you still wanna go to to the show?" And she's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay, well, what does that look like with a $4,000 a month mortgage payment that you qualify for because your income's so good?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "Well, I mean, it would be tight." "Right. Where do you shop?" "Nordstrom's." "You okay buying clothes at Target?" "No."
Right?
And it was like, I'm sure I was offensive, but at the end of the day, when it came down to it, she ended up in a really nice house. Her payment was $3,100 a month instead of $4,000 a month, and she got to still shop at Nordstrom's and eat at Ella, and the running joke every year, she sends me a $100 gift card to Ella because
No,
that's
no
not my
kid.
place, it's not my
That's
that
hilarious.
I'm the type of person, like, I'm not gonna go spend $300 on a meal. It wasn't that
No way.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? I'd rather cook at home. I mean,
Heck yeah.
not me
I'm the
cook
same.
personally, but have, like, cook food at home,
Yeah,
you know?
no doubt.
So I would say, like, that was the best, like, first time home buyer thing
That's so
because
cool.
it's, like, educate and watching people be fiery with you, and it's like, I have your best interests at heart. I know you think I'm raining on your parade, but believe me,
Yeah.
like, I've been in your shoe I've lost a house, so I can honestly come at people, and so can my business partner, with authenticity, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have gone through a
Been there.
foreclosure. I went through
Sure.
a divorce. We lost our home. I had to move my children, I know what that looks like to start over,
Yeah.
And I always tell my clients, I don't want that for you. I
Yeah.
never want you to feel what my family and I had to feel, and being able to come at people with not just like, "Well, I heard," like, but
Yeah.
from, like, a
Yeah.
level of, like, I packed up all my belongings and I had to leave a home and go rent an apartment for a year, you know, because I got myself into a situation because I qualified for the home, the market shifted, I no longer had the income that I did, and I
Mm.
didn't have a backup plan, and I didn't have an agent that told me, "Hey, pump the brakes.
Didn't keep it real with you, huh?
Can you really afford this if
Yeah.
for some reason 2005 isn't happening anymore?"
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And so had I always try to do what I wish I had done for me,
That's
for my
so cool.
clients.
That's huge too, because those are those not only do they not, resent you after after the fact, but you guys have like a genuine relationship to this day. And I'm sure you're probably getting referred to either directly or indirectly all the time through that woman just by, because she loves you. And that
Yeah,
that's what probably uh, has makes you the type of special person you are is because of the doing those things, and like, that's why you're so successful and people love you because of it. I mean, because not every people aren't really able to like keep it real in a sense, that like they just don't want to ruffle feathers. They don't want to make tell people what they don't want to hear. And at the end of the day, sometimes like you are as a real estate agent or just being in the real estate field, like, you kind of are a counselor in a sense, and you're kind of
life
trying
coach.
to, yeah, life coach. Yeah, that's a
Yep,
good way to put it. So
yeah. Well,
that's
and
huge
I
for
would
you.
say that most of my clients after working with me and like I'm very transparent, right? I have nothing to hide. I want them to know like what real estate could look like, And I think that going through the experiences that I have in real estate, I'm humble, right? Like I always tell people like I could go buy $1 million house if I really wanted to, you know, but I don't want to be house poor.
Sure.
And I feel like people look at their home as a reflection of them. And I try to educate my clients on your reflection of you is based off of the character on the inside of the home, not how many square feet is in the home, you know? And when I tell them, I'm always transparent. They're like, "Oh, well, where do you live?" I'm like, "Orangeville." And they're like, "Oh, oh, you do?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, well, what do you live in?" And when we say Orangeville, everyone's like, "Oh, you live in Rollingwood, right?" And I was like, "That's Fair Oaks," but okay. You know, but it's like, no, I live in an 1,100 square foot house, with my 2 children. Well, they don't live here
Yeah.
anymore, but
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like it's a it's
Yeah.
a it's an interesting dynamic because I'm not looking for the paycheck, right? So when I work with traditional clients, I'm not counting my commission check, right? I'm not like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you guys should buy this $850,000 house because my commission
Yeah.
is going to be, and I'm doing the
Yeah.
2.5 math or whatever,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not like that, I'm at the end of the day, I'm the agent that most other agents hate because I'm the agent that's like, I'll take $1,000 commission just so my clients can have this house.
Sure.
So
That's
at the end
cool.
of the day, other agents are like, "You put a bad name out there for real estate agents, you're undermining our work." And I'm like, "No, I'm helping my clients get their home."
100%. I love that. Almost, especially when it comes to like it first time home buyers. I have like, I wish if I could help more, I would love to be able to do that, because I'm out grateful enough to have another job that, that consistent income. So I'm not like the same thing. I'm not worried about, I'm not commission hungry about it. So like when I can help out friends and family, man, I jump all, but I'm so about that because it's just such a good feeling. And like, we were all there. We all, if we're not there, then we know someone who's been there before, and it's just, yeah, it's a scary feeling, and a lot of people just there's a lot of unknowns, and they're just maybe just not. We've made crappy decisions when we were younger financially,
Right.
and we've all are paying for it, and so it's, yeah, it's a good feeling to be able to help out, and that's pretty cool to hear. So I'm gonna skip the ninth one and hit you with one that you haven't, and then get you out of here, but so, um, what's the best piece of advice you've received in your career, and what would you pass on to someone just starting out in real estate?
My first job in real estate with a team, the broker and the team lead gave me a route every day for 5 days, and it had 6 homes on it, and it had a neighborhood. And so I had to go learn Colonial Heights, Tahoe Park, Land Park, Southland Park. What were the libraries? Where were people eating drinking coffee? What was the local grocery store? What was the local restaurant that everyone liked? Why did people move into that community? What's the difference between, East Sac and Midtown, and what's the difference between Tahoe Park, Colonial Park, Oak Park? They're all so close, why do people live, and so for 2 weeks, I literally from 8 to 5, I drove the neighborhood and I went into homes and I talked to the local people and I talked to all these, and when people call me now and they're like, "Oh, I have a client that's looking in Del Paso Heights." I'm like, "Oh, 95815. Oh, you're gonna go to the market down there, right?" Like, I know every facet in the Sacramento area of what each community has to offer.
Wow.
And it was the one thing he taught me was, "Do you wanna be a Fair Oaks real estate agent or do you wanna be a California real estate agent? You tell me." And he left the
Mm.
ball in my court, and I said, "Uh, is this a trick question?" And he said, "No, you tell me." And I said, "Well, I think I can sell real estate in California." He said, "Good answer." And he said, "We're gonna focus on Sacramento because that's where you live right now. I
Okay.
don't want" he go and his words of advice to me were, "I don't want you to pigeonhole yourself ever. So when a client calls and says, 'Where do you sell real estate?' You say, 'The United States of America, but I specialize in California.'" And
I
he
like that.
taught me that, and when clients called me and they're like, "Oh, I wanna live in Oak Park," and they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, Fair Oaks." "Oh, well, do you know?" And then I can shoot off, "Oh, heck yeah, Oak Park, you wanna go to Fixin's? That's my favorite restaurant in Oak Park, and if you see the Broadway Market, the gentleman in there will always make sure he has 2% milk for you." It was just like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew all of those things, right? And I think agents don't know that stuff. They get their real estate license and they're like, "Oh, I can find the property on Metro List, and I know how to get there because Apple just, told me how to turn
yeah.
right here and left here," but it's like, what do you know about the community? You know nothing, like,
So true.
so do your homework and do your research, and don't be surface with your clients, like put in the work. You're getting all, I think money is a interesting subject to talk about in real estate, especially for someone that sells real estate like I do.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like real estate agents are paid very well for their time and their knowledge, right? We have to work really hard, but there are so many real estate agents that don't have the knowledge and they're very
Mm,
surface and they're making
mhm,
a great commission and they're um entitled.
mhm,
And I think that shows in our culture.
mm,
And I would like to groom new agents to come in and be humble and be willing to work. And we're all a team: the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the title office, the home inspector, the pest inspector. Like, we're all a team. It takes all of us to close this escrow, right? I can't close an escrow by myself.
right,
He can't close an escrow by himself, right?
right,
Like, we all have to
right,
work together. Um, and so it's just about grooming agents to look at things a little differently. And if I could give one
like,
piece of advice that somebody should have given to me, it was to get another phone number and another
mm,
phone. I started real estate obviously at 20. I didn't know that. I mean, it was 2 years. I had had a cell phone for 2 years when I turned 20, right? They had just, it wasn't a thing.
yeah,
But I would get another number because I'm glued to my phone, like, and I always tell people, they're like, "Oh, just turn it off." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have 2 children. I
mhm,
can't just turn my phone off because I have to be available at all times. And even if I got another number now, it's like, it doesn't matter, like, at this point in my career, it doesn't matter. But, like,
yeah,
And maybe it's not 2 phones, I'd hate to carry around 2 phones, but I always tell people, "Get a second number and create boundaries," right? I don't have boundaries, right? My clients will call me at 10 o'clock at night, and, like, "Hey, I was just looking at that property that came up on Property Radar," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I've only been in bed for an hour, but let me get up and pull my laptop out for you," you know? And if you don't want that, then create the boundaries and the culture that you need to not have that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What how long were you doing the driving around for? Like, how long did they have you doing that for? To
For 2
learn?
weeks. I did
For
2
2
weeks.
weeks?
So, yeah,
That's
I
great.
also did Placer County, so I had to go into, Granite Bay, Roseville, all that kinda stuff as well.
Nice.
Um, but, yeah, so, I mean, I
I love that.
I know Nevada County, I know El Dorado County, I know Placer County, I know Yolo County, I know Sacramento County, and I can name streets, and I can name restaurants, and I mean, I think it says a lot about a team if you can really educate your clients on the community that they're moving to, because for most of our clients, they didn't grow up in that community,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I think that sets us apart from a lot of real estate agents who are just like, well, I found the property on property, or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'll drive you there, but I know nothing about the community. The schools could be good because I looked at the score online, but I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the so it's so easy, and like you were talking about before, if they were to call you and then another agent, like, what's gonna set you apart? Like, if you're just acting like, "Oh, yeah, sure, let me just drive you over there," like, obviously, they're gonna see right through that, and, I unfortunately have been in that same role where it's like, "Yeah, sure, let me," I need to learn more, and you that's a great way to do it because, just driving the streets, just hitting the pavement, like, honestly, I've only done it, like, a few times, but it goes a long way for someone that you have no idea, like, especially with, like, having a bubble of, you live and work in such a small space, like, you gotta be able to, like, how else are you gonna learn it unless you're gonna sit there and just, like, I don't know, pull up Google Maps, but you're
right?
not gonna get the same amount out of it, so that's huge, I love that. Well, did that was the last question. Did we miss anything? Is there anything that you wanted to push or, promote or talk about or
I would say if any agents have these off market deals that, they're scared to list because they walked in and it smelled like, death or whatever, or the house is horrible or whatever. And they're like, I can't put this on the market, make my team your first call. We're very competitive. We, love to work with agents. If you've got clients that are looking at possibly doing short-term rentals, I'm your local girl. Like, I've got the knowledge to be able to educate them, not necessarily take on a lot more Airbnbs right now, but at
Uh-huh.
least educate people. And, I do a lot of, I train a lot of brokerages on short-term rentals. I train a lot of brokerages on how to go to auction. So, yeah,
Really?
yeah, I like to give back, like, there's no reason that I should keep all this information in my brain, right? Like, I don't
Wow. That's
feel like I'm
big of you.
competing. I train Portfolio Real Estate. They're a big real estate company in Elk Grove, and I've trained their office, 3 or 4 times, on different things, and there's a couple investors that work in there, and we kinda, like, chit chat, we bring deals to each other, we help each other out, and it's like, I'm not here against you, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
to me, there's enough real estate and enough inventory and enough flips and enough of everything to go around for all of us. If we all work together, it's gonna be way better.
I love that. That's huge. Well, I'm gonna get your all your handles and your logos, and I'm gonna put it up there so people will know how to get in contact with you and to check you out and know who you are. And I mean, I'm sure people already know who you are, but you know what I'm saying, how to get in
Yeah.
touch with you. But
Yep.
uh, I really can't thank you enough for coming on here
Of course.
and providing so much value. It's been awesome, and yeah, it's been a great time, and I just really, really thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.